It's almost December, meaning Christmas is right around the corner. One of my favorite times of the year to watch good Christmas movies. Yet, some movies never should have existed. You'd think after decades of classics, people would have figured out the formula. Instead, we keep getting Christmas movies that feel like they were written in a group chat at 3 a.m. Today, we're going over 3 Christmas movies that actually annoyed me. And look, I'm not trying to ruin anyone's Christmas cheer or whatever. If you like these movies, that's fine. You're allowed to have questionable taste. But I do need to vent about these because they've been living in my head and annoying me for years now. The first one is a movie I actually used to like when I was younger, Christmas with the Cranks. When I first watched it as a kid, I genuinely thought it wasn't that bad. It had Tim Allen in it, some funny moments, and it seemed like a decent holiday movie. But as I grew older and rewatched it, man did my opinion change. This movie is genuinely bad, and the older I get, the more problems I see with it. If you don't know this movie, let me explain the plot. You got these two people, Nora and Luther Crank, who decide to skip Christmas for 1 year. Their daughter Blair is going to Peru with the Peace Corps, so they figure why not take a cruise instead of doing the usual Christmas routine. Reasonable decision, right? Two adults making a choice about their own holiday. Well, that's wrong, because suddenly the entire street turns into an actual cult. I'm not even exaggerating, it's wild how fast these neighbors go from happy holidays to decorate your house or else. Like, there's multiple scenes where Nora is literally hiding in her own house from these people because they want to force them to put up Frosty the Snowman on their roof. You see, that sounds absolutely crazy when you say it out loud, but apparently that's the neighborhood tradition. This giant snowman decoration that Luther puts up every year, and when he decides not to do it this one time, the neighbors act like he just committed a war crime. The funniest part, and by funniest I mean most annoying, is how dramatic everyone acts about this whole situation. They're behaving like the Cranks skipping Christmas will literally collapse the universe and end all joy forever. One neighbor organizes what's basically a protest outside their house. Another neighbor tracks how much money they're saving by not doing Christmas and gets mad about it. This is some weird behavior in all honesty. But here's where it gets really bad. Luther works at this company and his co-workers find out he's skipping Christmas. Instead of being like, okay, cool, that's your choice, they start mocking him at work. Like, random people in the office just start judging him. This man is getting harassed at his own job for a personal decision about a holiday. There's this one scene where Nora and Luther decide to get a tan days before they go on the cruise. While Nora is in the tanning bed, someone comes in the room surprised and she bumps her head on the bed, making her bleed. While she's trying to get a band-aid from the receptionist, their local priest just eyeballs her down. Also, I will say, why is there like 20 people behind the priest just looking at her? Either way, Luther accidentally tans for too long and comes out looking like a lobster. The movie plays this for laughs, but really, I have no idea what you would call this. Now, Nora has it even worse in some ways. She's trying to go about her day, but neighbors keep showing up at the door. At one point, she's literally peeking through the curtains to see if anyone's outside before she leaves her house. She's a prisoner in her own home because the neighbors won't leave them alone. And again, the movie presents this as a charming neighborhood involvement instead of what it actually is, which is just harassment. The calendar thing annoyed me too. There's this charity calendar that the neighbors do every year with photos of people on the street. Luther and Nora usually buy one every year. This year, they say no thanks, we're not doing Christmas stuff. The guy selling them acts personally offended, makes comments about how they're letting everyone down. Like, bro, it's just a calendar, they just don't want to buy it. Yet again, this becomes another mark against them in the neighborhood's eyes. Now, what annoys me the most is how the movie pretends this pressure is completely normal and good actually. Like, yeah, of course your neighbor should harass you because you don't want to hang up a giant snowman. That's the Christmas spirit apparently. Then the ending happens, which somehow makes everything worse. Blair calls and says, surprise, I'm coming home for Christmas after all and bringing my new boyfriend you've never met. They have like 8 hours to put together an entire Christmas from scratch. Luther's running around trying to find a tree and Nora's fighting people at the grocery store for a ham or turkey or whatever. Everything's just going wrong and they're both panicking. And suddenly, all these neighbors who have been tormenting them for days decide to help. They bring decorations, food, and the movie acts like this is beautiful and heartwarming. Look at this community coming together. Except these are the same people who made their lives hell. Now they're helpful because the Cranks are celebrating again. The absolute worst part is Luther gives up the cruise. He literally gives away their tickets to an older couple as this generous gesture. So he learned his lesson, I guess. Don't try to do something different. Just do what everyone expects. That's supposed to be the happy ending, but it's actually really depressing. Luther didn't choose to celebrate Christmas this year. He was bullied into it by everyone everyone around him. I'm not saying the movie is completely unwatchable. There are some funny moments, but the core message is so toxic that it ruins any charm the movie might have had. You must celebrate Christmas exactly how everyone else does or face social punishment. Now let's talk about Deck the Halls, which is basically Christmas with the Cranks, but somehow even more annoying. This one came out in 2006 and stars Danny DeVito and Matthew Broderick as neighbors who get into this escalating rivalry over Christmas decorations. And let me tell you, both of these characters are so insufferable that by the end, you're rooting for the decorations to just fall on both of them. And that says a lot, seeming Danny DeVito is in this. So the plot is Matthew Broderick plays Steve Finch, who's this super into Christmas guy. He's organized and does the same things every year with his family. He's basically the neighborhood Christmas king. Then Danny DeVito's character, Buddy Hall, moves in across the street. Buddy wants his house to be visible from space with Christmas lights. Like, that's his actual goal. He wants so many lights that astronauts can see his house from orbit. Steve immediately has a problem with this because Buddy's going overboard and messing with Steve's whole vibe, which, okay, I kinda get it. If your neighbors suddenly turn their house into Times Square, you'd probably be annoyed too, but then Steve becomes completely obsessed with stopping Buddy, and Buddy becomes obsessed with one-upping Steve, and it just escalates into this rivalry that makes both of them look like complete idiots. The thing that annoyed me most about this movie is both main characters are terrible people, but the movie can't decide which one we're supposed to root for. Steve is uptight and way too obsessed with his Christmas traditions. He acts like Buddy moving in is a personal attack on his entire existence, but Buddy is obnoxious and doesn't care that he's making everyone's lives harder. He literally causes power outages for the whole neighborhood because of his light display. That's a bad neighbor in my eyes. The escalation gets ridiculous too. Steve steals Buddy's decoration manual. Buddy sabotages Steve's Christmas event. Steve tries to get the city to shut down Buddy's display. Buddy tricks Steve into getting arrested. I know, that was a lot, but it just keeps going back and forth, and none of it is funny or charming. It's just two grown men acting like children and dragging their families into their nonsense. There's also this scene where Steve and Buddy are together at a winter festival. Three women come out in Christmas outfits, not showing their faces, but while they're dancing, Buddy and Steve yell out, "Who's your daddy?" And as the dancers turn around, they realize those were his daughters. Yeah, is it getting weird or is it just me? Now, what really gets me is the movie tries to have this message about Christmas spirit and coming together at the end, but these two spent the entire runtime being horrible to each other and their families. Steve neglected his family because he was so obsessed with beating Buddy, and Buddy put his family in danger multiple times with his over-the-top decorations. And then suddenly, in the last 10 minutes, they're best friends and everything's fine? That's not how character development works. There's also this running thing where Steve is trying to keep the small town Christmas tradition alive. Every year, they pick someone to light the town's Christmas tree, and Steve really wants it to be him this year. It's clearly really important to him, but the movie makes fun of him for caring about it. Like he's pathetic for wanting this tradition to continue. The wives in this movie are completely wasted too. They're just there to react to their husbands being idiots. Occasionally, they try to be the voice of reason, but neither Steve nor Buddy listens to them. They don't have their own arcs or development. They exist solely to support or criticize their husband's rivalry. And the ending, oh my god, the ending. Buddy's massive light display causes problems, obviously. There's this whole thing where people get hurt and property gets damaged. You'd think this would be a wake-up call that maybe covering your entire house in 10 million lights is a bad idea, but no. Steve helps him finish the display, and they all celebrate together. So I guess nearly killing people is fine as long as you have the Christmas spirit. In my opinion, Deck the Halls is annoying because it takes two potentially likable actors and makes them play the most irritating characters possible. The rivalry isn't funny enough to justify how mean-spirited it gets, and the message about Christmas spirit feels completely hollow when both characters spent the whole movie being selfish jerks. What a waste of Danny DeVito. And now we get to Jingle All the Way, which is probably the most frustrating one on this list because it had so much potential. This one stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as a dad who forgets to get his son the hot toy for Christmas. So on Christmas Eve, he's running all over the city trying to find a Turbo Man action figure. And look, the premise is fine, but the execution is so over the top and annoying that it just ruins everything. First off, Arnold plays Howard Langston, who is a terrible father, like genuinely bad at being a dad. He misses his son's karate class because of work. He forgets to get the toy his son wants, even though his son told him about it months ago. He's constantly prioritizing his job over his family, and the movie wants us to feel bad for him and root for him, but why? He did this to himself. His wife even reminds him multiple times to get the toy, and he just doesn't do it. Then you got Sinbad's character, Myron, who's also hunting for the same toy. Myron is even worse as a person. He's aggressive, and he literally commits multiple crimes trying to get this action figure, but the movie plays him as this comedic rival for Howard. They're not funny together though, they're just annoying. Every scene with them is just them sabotaging each other and yelling and causing chaos. After a while, it stops being entertaining and just becomes exhausting to watch. The whole movie is just Howard going to different stores and failing to get the toy. He goes to a mall and there's a pack of panicked parents fighting over toys. He goes to a warehouse store run by criminals who are overcharging. He ends up at some weird radio station contest and he gets scammed by a fake Santa selling bootleg toys. It's the same joke over and over and over again. Howard can't get the toy and something ridiculous happens. After the 5th time, it's just not phony anymore, it's just repetitive. What really annoyed me is how the movie treats Howard's wife and son. His wife Liz is clearly fed up with Howard's behavior. She has every right to be mad at him, but the movie keeps acting like she's being too harsh or not understanding it enough. No, she's completely valid in her frustration. Her husband is never around, doesn't follow through on promises, and forgot their son's Christmas present. I mean, come on, how could you forget? She should be mad, but the movie frames her as the nagging wife instead of a woman who's tired of being let down. The son Jamie just wants his dad to pay attention to him. He doesn't even really care that much about the toy at first. He cares that his dad remembered and kept his promise. But Howard is so obsessed with getting the toy now that he's missing the point entirely. He thinks if he gets this Turbo Man, everything will be fine. He doesn't realize his son just wants him to actually show up and be present. That's the real issue, but Howard never really learns that lesson properly. Then there's the neighbor Ted, who's trying to move in on Howard's wife while he's gone. This subplot is so unnecessary and uncomfortable. Ted is bringing Liz lattes and helping decorate her house, and might I say, very clearly flirting with her. And she kind of entertains it because she's upset with Howard. But this doesn't add anything to the story except making everyone look bad. Howard comes off as a neglectful husband, Liz comes off like she might cheat, and, well, Ted is just a creep taking advantage of family problems. Nobody wins here. And, well, don't even get me started on the parade ending. Howard somehow ends up dressed as Turbo Man in the Christmas parade. This is whole action sequence on parade floats where he's fighting Dementor, who's, I guess, another villain? His son is there watching while chaos is just everywhere. And somehow, this is all played as heartwarming. Howard endangered multiple people, including children, at a Christmas parade, but it's fine because father-son bonding, am I right? The resolution is Howard gives his son the Turbo Man figure he got from being in the parade. Jamie is happy, Liz forgives Howard, and everything works out just like it does in every Christmas movie. But Howard didn't actually change as a person. He still prioritized his work throughout the movie. He still only showed up at the end because, well, of lucky circumstances. What's really stopping him from missing the next karate class or forgetting the next important date? Nothing, because he didn't actually grow or learn anything meaningful. In my opinion, Jingle All the Way is annoying because it takes a relatable premise about parent guilt and turns it into this loud, obnoxious mess. Arnold is basically playing the Terminator as a dad and, well, it doesn't work. Sinbad is wasted on a character that's just generically aggressive, and the message about presents being more important than the presents get completely lost in the chaos of Arnold literally attacking people over a toy. So those are the 3 Christmas movies that actually annoyed me. Each one frustrated me in different ways, but they all share this common problem of not understanding what makes a good Christmas movie work. You see, the thing about Christmas movies is they get that holidays are about connection and kindness and being together, but none of them actually capture what makes Christmas special. But what about you? Are there any Christmas movies that genuinely annoyed you, or do you actually like any of these 3 and think I'm being too harsh? Let me know in the comments because I'm curious if anyone out there is defending these movies. Also, if there's other annoying Christmas movies you think I should suffer through for a part 2, drop those suggestions in the comments and I'll see you in the next video.